This is Into the Fire. I take great pleasure in welcoming the Adelaide Crows superstar, the tough, the talented, possibly the greatest guy on this planet, the man every AFL supporter loves, my favourite player, Rory Sloane. Nice to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you, Liam. You must be an Adelaide fan with that sort of intro for me, so I appreciate that.
Definitely.
Good boy.
Let me just start by saying, Rory, you've always been my favourite player. Danger used to be with you, but hey, it might be time to move on from him leaving.
Maybe, but he's a very good footballer, Danger. He's got me covered, I think, but he's a good man as well. You've got two good favourites there.
Yeah, I reckon. Can you believe that a young guy from the Eastern Rangers has come all the way to the big time and now captaining an AFL team? Was it always a dream for you growing up as a boy to be playing AFL football?
It was never like the be-all, end-all for me. I just love playing footy because I started playing just because all my friends played at school. I think that's why everyone started playing, and then I think the thing that held me most was my older brother. I've got an older brother and a younger sister. I was always super competitive with those two, which then flowed over to every team I made. So I started at Adelaide Tacoma just as a local club, and then made the interleague team, and then I was super competitive there and wanted to beat people there. And then I got to Eastern Rangers and I want to beat the people here too. So it was never like an end goal of I want to play AFL. It was just more I just wanted to beat people, and that just came from being really competitive. And on the tennis court, that looked a little differently with a few smash rackets.
Yeah, but look, here you are playing AFL now, so
yeah. It's certainly something I'll never take for granted. It's the best job in the world.
Yeah.
I'll try and hold on for as long as I can and be around for hopefully another 5 or 6 years, I reckon.
Yeah, that'd be good for Adelaide. Yeah. Now, you were picked at 44 in the draft. It must seem like an eternity since then. Can you still remember that night? I can't believe you slipped that far. Maybe the steal of the drafts. How did you feel moving to Adelaide, and did you know they were taking you?
So back then, when I got drafted, 2008, I just finished high school, and draft was done in the mornings. So I'd just come back from schoolies actually, so I was lucky enough to spend a week up in Queensland with my friends, which I think is really important. I could still be an 18-year-old before I came into the footy club, and then I got back that morning, 11 o'clock, I woke up, Dad was listening to the draft, and I knew I wasn't going to go early. And he got to about, I knew if Hawthorn didn't pick me at pick 43, I was going to Adelaide, because Hamish Ogilvie, our recruiter, was always speaking to me. And then when that happened, Mum cried. I didn't cry. I sort of didn't know how to feel. I was like, oh, this is a cool adventure. But then I went out and celebrated that night with my brother, and I think I had a few tears that night because I was like, it all hit me that I'd be moving away from everyone that I love. And then I thought I'd be there for maybe 2 years in Adelaide tops. I thought I'd hate it, come back home and play footy in Melbourne, but then here I am, I think 14 years later. I love Adelaide and I love this footy club a lot, but I love this town and this city as well.
Adelaide's a great place and the traffic is much better.
Far better than Melbourne, trust me. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, you played senior footy for the Roosters. My auntie is a massive North fan and says you were always a good-looking Rooster. Do you hold fond memories of playing for them before the AFL?
I do. I don't know what you saw though. I had this big, thick mane back then. The hair came down. It was quite shaggy. I definitely wasn't a good-looking Rooster. I'm definitely not now. But the first thing, because VFL footy in Victoria, you never have that sort of crowd. I remember one of the first games I played at North Adelaide, there was about 6,000 or 8,000 people there. And it was like a local club on steroids, really. It was huge, and I couldn't believe what I walked into and the passion that people had for their local club. So that was the best bit. And I remember just playing against physical bodies, which I thought was great prep for playing AFL. The best thing about playing, I think, in those sample teams for me back then was I got a whole new friendship group as well. So I had the friends I made at Adelaide, but then I had all the friends I made out at the Roosters as well. So that was the best part for me coming from interstate, was I had 2 friendship groups.
Yeah, definitely. Now, let's talk about your first game. When I read the stats, I thought you played rugby. 0 kicks and 7 tackles. Bet you got some NRL offers after that match.
The Storm, I would have loved to play for the Storm back in the day. I don't have a good enough goose step to play NRL at all. So.
Did you used to play rugby as a kid?
No, I never played rugby. I grew up, so the hills in Victoria, we were chatting about that. the Dandenongs. I played all my footy out there, but footy back then was always wet and all the grounds were shocking, so it was muddy and wet. So I was always taught you have to go and get your own ball because that was the only way to get it. It wasn't going to be good enough skills. But of course, if you don't get the ball, what do? You tackle to get the ball back. So, and an older brother that tackled me and fought with me, so that helped as well.
Yeah, it does. Neil Craig gave you an opportunity to play senior footy and even said, and I quote, "Our supporters will like Rory Sloane." He was a pretty good judge. It must have been unbelievable running out for your first game. And to win. What a feeling that must have been.
Yeah, it was an awesome feeling. I remember, so all my friends and family came on the train to the game. They had about 2 train carriage full. I remember as soon as I took the step over the white line, I heard them all in the pocket of the MCG erupt as I stood onto the ground, and that's something like I still remember now. I still remember the noise that was made from that group, and I'm very lucky to have such good friends and family back home that have always supported me.
Yeah.
And kept me grounded too. I think that's important.
Yeah, it is. Now, you got to learn from the greats of the Adelaide Football Club, Tyson Edwards, who I know you're still close with now, Simon Goodwin and Andrew McLeod, all 300 game players. I bet you learned a lot early days off of those guys.
Heaps. And Tex and I were chatting about that the other day because playing with a guy like Bungie, I think something you take for granted at the time, but like you definitely do. You just watch and you learn off those guys, and the way he prepared for games, his body was so sore, but he just prepared so well for every game and got himself up. Goody was kind of the opposite. Goody was the hardest work I've ever seen, and he made sure that was instilled in us from the start. After massive footy sessions out there, he'd grab us, and me and Bernie would sit on the bike with him for an hour and a half, and we certainly learned how to train hard off Goody and Neil Craig, and then Zuma as well. Zuma was one of the more relaxed guys, I reckon, which something I took off Zuma was like, there's a time to train hard and work hard, but there's also a time you got to relax and enjoy what you've got as well, because enjoyment's such a big part of footy.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, your awards list is pretty impressive. All-Australian, 2 club champions, 2017 AFL Most Courageous Player, plus don't forget a Showdown medal. Let's also say you're the fourth highest ever Adelaide Brownlow medal vote getter, with a huge 104 votes. But there is only one thing that still eludes you, and that is your grand final win. Does that still burn inside you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's we've got a youngish group now, as everyone knows. But that's myself, Tex, Lynchy, Dave McKay, Brodie Smith, Luke Brown, Daniel Talia. There's all these guys that have played a fair bit of footy, and we had a little taste of the grand final. But that's what's driving us to make sure we can try and get back and challenge as much as possible.
Yeah, and your younger group's holding up really well this year.
They're cracking in.
Yeah.
We've got to keep learning and just find a bit of polish too, but yeah, these boys love cracking in.
Yeah, they do. Now, it must have been disappointing to lose that grand final. I know how shattering it was to lose as a supporter. I can only imagine how you guys must have felt. Do you think that being a St Kilda supporter as a youngster helped cope with this disappointment? Seriously, when did you let that game go?
It's funny, that night, actually, after we lost, we were out having a couple of drinks, and Lee Montagna was there, and I remember chatting to him about it because obviously he lost a couple, and that was really helpful. But like for probably 2 weeks, I reckon it really grinded my gears, and I was like, oh, I wish I did this better, I wish we did that, or we could have done this. And then watched the NRL grand final and realised there was another team that lost. And then I went on a holiday with my wife to the Maldives, and I was sitting there in the ocean, and the surf was incredible, and I was sitting there with 2 other blokes, and I was sort of looking around, the water was clear, it was hot, I'm in the middle of the ocean, and I'm like, how good's this?
Yeah.
And then I realised that footy's not everything. Life's pretty good. And yeah, we're caught up in the loss of the grand final, which, I mean, there's teams that lose grand finals every year. It's still one of the highlights of my career playing in that grand final, but yeah, after a couple of weeks and some time in the ocean, I learned that I could get over it and move on.
Yeah, that is good. Now you're the captain of the club, and what a great face of the club you are. I'm sure that it gives you a great pride, seeing Tex is so loved down there. Did it feel weird at first when he stepped away from the role?
No, not at all. I don't think he's always a captain of our footy club. And that's one thing maybe we chatted about is like, if either you don't need a title to lead, and that's what makes Tex such a great leader. He could be the captain of the footy club. He doesn't have a role now. He's not even in our leadership group, but he's still a captain of our footy club, and he still leads like that. So he still demands. He sets an incredible standard, and the boys certainly follow him. So whether he's got that title or not, it certainly doesn't matter. And I reckon that's the same for guys like Tom Lynch, Daniel Talia. These guys are great leaders, and they could all be captain. Yeah, as long as they're still leading like a captain, that's all that matters.
Tex is in great form at the moment.
He's a pretty handy footballer, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Okay, so I have to ask this question. How close were you to moving back to Victoria? Because I was panicking right up to the announcement you were staying.
I've gone back a couple of years now. So both of mine and my wife's families from Victoria. We love it there. We love our family there. But for us, it was like, we couldn't pick where we want to live there. And it came down to the end, a simple question, like, do we enjoy our life here? And the answer was very much a yes. And I think that's because we've explored South Australia, and not everything's football related for us here. We were able to go wineries, beaches, surf. So we've really adopted this place as home, and our family loves coming over too. So for us, it came down to just a simple questions like, how much do we enjoy it? Well, yeah, we love it. So why do we try and look for something better?
Yeah, and I'm glad you stayed.
No, thank you.
Lucky you don't live in Moggs Creek. No, I'm good with danger now. Talking of danger, when you took him out with the hip and shoulder in that final, was that the greatest hit in your career? In fairness to the great man, I have no idea how he got up from that.
Oh, I don't know how I got up. Running into danger, you normally always come off second best, and certainly have a couple of times during training. So, yeah, I've had my time over again, and probably should have been a bit smarter with that. But that's, what finals do. Danger's a ball. You just see ball and you've got to go for it, don't you?
Yeah. Okay, a couple of quick questions to finish. Now, you love to surf. We all know that. Sharks, Rory, sharks. Have you ever seen one while out on the water?
No. I've done the shark cage dive in Port Lincoln, which was the best thing I've ever done. I didn't surf for about 3 months afterwards because the sharks we saw in the water were huge. I've seen a fin before I've gone out into the water, but it was of a bronzy. I think it just fed, so you could see it feeding on a school of fish, so we went out anyway.
Oh yeah. Now, is it true that the photo circulating with the new ripped Rory Foggity was actually sent by him? And has he pinned it up all over the Adelaide Crows weight room?
No, I think it was Tex's body, and then Fogg photoshopped his head on it. No, I'm joking. Yeah, that sits above his bed. That's the Nick he wants to be in. But credit to Fogg, he went away this year and got super fit. Did a lot of work with Tom Lynch. Took him under his wing and got really fit. And as you saw, pretty ripped as well.
Yeah. So, Rory, it is widely known that you're the nicest guy in AFL. Is it because you're a person? Sorry, I watched your handball video.
Nicest guy, what do you mean? On field, off field? Yeah, on field I like to play a bit differently, I suppose. I think once you're on the field, it's game on, and no one's exactly your friend on field, and you've got to crack in as hard as you can. And then off field, I think it's simple. Be kind to people and treat everyone with the same respect as you want to be treated. And I think it's generally the way people should live. I think so. Be happy. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy my life. So certainly be happy is a big focus. Just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, Rory, you said the one person who you would have had round for a drink is Jessica Albert. Dad wants to know if he can come. He loves her more than me, I think.
No, I don't want any competition. Thank you. So that'll be a pure one-on-one dinner with me and Jessica. One day we can have a dream, eh?
Yeah. Okay, Rory, to finish up, I'm going to give you a couple of tips to take you to the next level and inspire these young guys to the Holy Grail. I love how brave you are, but watch where you put your head. If you keep getting knocked out, if you keep knocking yourself out, people will start calling you Dory, not Rory. Now even teams need inspiration from their leader, and no one kicks an uplifting goal better than you, Rory. But the celebration needs some work. You need one that gets everyone out of their chairs, and I have one you can use. The ultimate team lifter, the Into the Fire.
Oh wow. See, that's not bad. I like that. But I've been chatting to Leighton actually lately, and he'd been saying I could drop the old come on with a chainsaw. How do you reckon a chainsaw would go?
I reckon that'd be good, but I don't know. We'll have to choose one of those three.
What was yours called again?
The Into the Fire.
The Into the
Do you
Fire.
want to have them practice?
Yeah, you go.
Right.
So what's the fire's into your hands into the fire?
And then
Brush away the sweat.
nice.
Don't mind it.
Hope you give it a try soon.
Yeah, maybe.
It has been the best day ever, and I feel so privileged that you have come onto my show. Keep being awesome, buddy. I can't thank you enough. It's been great to
Liam, nice to meet you, mate. Thanks for the chat.
Thank
and
you.
Yeah, good luck with everything.
chat. You too.
Cheers, buddy.
Go Crows!